All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai. I also want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and honors to all you fellow laborers that are kicking this word in sincerity and in faith. The Wadi Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, Kaya Hawakakodash, for the Holy Spirit resting upon me to do this lesson. Now, the name of the lesson is Hell is Enlarging Itself Upon Babylon the Great, which is based off of first off, it's based off of the book of Isaiah, the 5th chapter, which is really speaking about Israel, yet this now, pursuant to the book of Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter, this applies to your main city, which is Babylon the Great. Now you may say, well, look,
Right, shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Waharakah Kadash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and honor to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. And I just started the video here. Hey, shalom, we got next. I was hoping I would catch this brother live, but he wasn't live at the time. Right now. I'm just giving his channel a plug, constantly pushing out edifying videos, man. GMS and Enduring Branch, that's the name of the channel. Okay, check that out, man. Nothing but edification. Shalom to all y'all came in the comment board, man. Shalom, shalom to all the fellow laborers. Shalom to all the brothers and sisters out there that's listening and learning, man, and walking in faith. The name of this video is Judgment with a Side of Dearth, because great famine is coming to this realm. Great famine, great dearth. And I just wanted to break it down. Right, the word dearth, which is found in the scriptures, because there was a great dearth during the time of Caesar, Augustus Caesar, if I'm not mistaken. It says dearth, a scarcity or lack of something. The archaic definition goes into a situation where food is in short supply. And we kind of seen the rumblings of this, but really we ain't seen nothing yet. It's going to get real out here in regards to food. I mean, right now, if you really want to get food, there's still food in the stores. Certain things are low in certain areas, but there's still food. Pretty much most of the panicking is over. There's a lot of rationing going on, but you can still get food. But that's not always going to be the case. Okay, a great famine is coming. Like right now, there really ain't nobody in the West. Well, I'm not going to say nobody. The masses of the people in the West are not starving. They're still filling their bellies. But like I said, that's going to change. And that's according to prophecy. Okay. Prophecy and judgment. Because I want to read the scripture right here from the book of Tobit, the 13th, the 4th chapter, the 13th verse. It says, "Now therefore, my son, love thy brethren, and despise not in thy heart thy brethren, the sons and daughters of thy people, in not taking a wife of them. For in pride is destruction, and this world is filled with pride." And the scripture says, Pride is the beginning of sin, and the scripture says what? That the beginning of pride is when one's heart is turneth away from his maker. And it is evident that the heart of the people of the earth, even among the Lord's own people, the Israelites, has turned away from their maker. So this world is filled with much tribe. All right. So in pride is destruction and much trouble. And that's why, because of the great unprecedented pride that exists on the planet Earth today, Daniel's 12th chapter set up. There's going to be a time of unprecedented trouble, unprecedented judgment to suit. It says, and in lewdness is decay. Right now, lewdness is wickedness, right? Darkness, ignorance. In lewdness is decay and great want. For lewdness is the mother of famine. All right. And like I said, you can look up the definition of lewd, right? Inclined to, characterized by, or inciting to lust or lechery, lascivious, all right, obscene or indecent, as language or song, salacious, obsolete. This is what we want to go into. Low, ignorant, or vulgar, base, vile, wicked, especially of a person. Yeah, base, vile, or wicked. Yeah, so lewdness represents wickedness, right? And wickedness is the mother of famine, and this world is overrun with wickedness. So as Derek Dennis, Shalom, as Derek Dennis posted, 2 Corinthians 6:22, because of that, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouse shall suddenly be found empty. So from the farm to the supermarket, there's going to be a lack of food, to the point where many millions of people are going to die through starvation. All right, and what does the scripture say in regards to that form of death? Lamentations 4:9, it says, they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger, for these pine away, stricken for the want of fruits of the field. Right? The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children. Yeah, so when their children die, because the weak die first in a famine, and so when they die, people eat them. All right, the hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the door of my people, and that happened going back into the Babylonians. That happened because that's what happens in siege. That happened during the time of 70 AD with Masada, and that's going to happen again. But it ain't just going to happen to the Israelites. It's going to happen on a global scale, and many peoples are going to be caught up in it. All right. Now, what I wanted to bring out, I got some articles that I want to bring out going into the food. Uh, so I got that article. Okay, I got this article. I got another one from LBC, and I also got a few more scriptures here that I want to shell off. Yeah. The brother already stole my thunder on that one. So I got these Ezekiel, Surah 39. Right, beautiful. So what I want to draw your attention to, Arkin, we're gonna play a little bit of this video now. This channel here, Ice Age Farmer. He's not a man of the Lord. He's not a prophet. He's not here for spiritual edification. However, in regards to food and food supplies, the man has some good information, right? Did I pull up his channel? Right, yeah. So when you go to his channel, he's pretty much been go to videos documenting through his channel what's been happening with the food supply for a few years. And if you brothers out there that's circumspect, you will know that over the last 10 years, food production has been going down, for one reason or another. Freak climate, disease, different funguses. For one reason or another, the crops have been failing to a degree, right? And this is reduced the stores of food over the last year. So if you go back to this guy's channel, you see he's got loads of videos where he's detailing different events that have happened. Now, one event by itself doesn't affect, but when you have a subsequent more and more events which are happening, which affect production of food in different places around the world, that builds up that to that. If you have a big enough problem, then guess what? You get a major shortage because you don't have nothing to rely on, nothing to fall back on. All right. Now, what I want to play is a recent video he made. So you can go and check this guy's channel out. It's called Ice Age Farmer. And like I said, you can see he's been documenting all the madness that's been happening in regards to the food. And that's the Lord, breaking the staff of bread bit little by little. Now, what I want to do is play this video. Let's listen to some of this video, Arkham. He gonna make some great points, something that they don't talk about in the mainstream media as much. See, they'll make you think that the food shortages is because people went out and panic buyed, when really it's not all based upon panic buying. There's certain products and certain things which were going to be in short supply anyway, because last year was a bad year for a lot of harvests. All right, and this year is going to be even worse. So let's get it. Salakia.
In the craze around the virus, elected to halt all immigrant visas for farm guest workers. Now, this is a death knell for most of modern agriculture, but don't take my word
What's going on?
for it.
The U.S. State Department has decided to close the border and stop processing H-2A agricultural visas as of today. Without these folks coming to help us plant, we will not harvest. If we do not harvest, we do not have food to feed you. I don't know where the disconnect is. I don't know how people do not understand this situation. Without workers, we can't feed you.
So even as the FDA broadcasts, quote,
what he's going to go into is with this shutdown of movement of peoples happening at this particular time of the year in the West. This is the time of year when a lot of migrant temporary workers would go to certain places like Britain. They travel from other countries to work on the farms, because working on a farm is backbreaking. It's backbreaking cheap labor, right? Which the average American, the average Brit, the average French don't want to do. They don't want to be in no field bending over, breaking their back, planting crops and all that is required. So usually you get cheap labor from other countries like Mexico, like a lot of these Eastern Europeans and so Romanians. They come and they do this labor. But the problem with this coronavirus thing is that it's causing a shortage of this labor. Now, if they're not there to help plant and then reap the crops, what you're going to have is a major failure. Not only in that, but also with the animal farms as well, animal feed, all of that. So it's all connected. So I'm gonna let him speak. Then we're gonna get some more precepts.
there are no food shortages. Please stop buying food. You only need a week or two, guys. Even as they do that, and quote, there are no current widespread disruptions. They are actively creating such a widespread disruption with this labor shortage. And I will.
What they'll tell you is there is no shortage of food. It's just because people are panic buying, and that's why like it is happening the way it is. Which in a way is true, but in a way it's not true, because these food shortages were gonna happen anyway.
Show you that what we're seeing in the shelves right now is almost exclusively the result of this demand shock. This panic around the virus has made 300 million people run to the store and buy a month's worth of groceries at the same time. Naturally, we are able to perceive this. This is a huge spike in demand, a demand shock. And yeah, we can see that happen. But so too, though, is there also a very real supply shortage, a slightly slower motion train wreck that's going on that will lead to food shortage and empty shelves. And we've already started seeing those, and they're being masked now by this crisis, by this pandemic, and the fact that people can now just say, yeah, there's food shortages, but that's because people are idiots and they were buying too much. You see, they've provided an excuse.
It is the worst planting season for farmers in 25 years because of our wet and cold weather.
The excessive rainfall we've been getting this spring.
Rainfall followed by cooler weather.
More rain, obviously, in April and May.
The storms we got and that cool weather hit at absolutely worst time that it could possibly hit.
Devastating.
One of the worst on record.
Not good news for some crop producers in our area.
Pretty cold weather.
The Ohio Farm Bureau says it's the worst planting season since it started tracking.
Crop is seeing its worst day.
So it's really been a challenge this year.
That's right, the worst season on record, extremely delayed from the flooding, record prevent plant, early blizzards, the harvest from hell. But I'm sure it's just because people are buying too many Hot Pockets and toilet paper that we need global food rationing. That's what's going on. It has nothing to do with the grand solar minimum and these crop losses. In fact, that's not the case. And we can even see from some letters that I've obtained from folks on the inside that this is a public letter from Azure Standard. You've probably heard about the fact the empty grocery store shelves are going on. We've run out of items here as well. However, he goes
like, if you've been watching, the shelves have been emptying before this. There's articles out there showing you in certain places where they had shortages of certain goods and produces before the whole panic buying thing happened, as a direct result of the bad crops they've been having. But like he said, they're not going to mention that to you, you know?
Goes on to say that, yes, coconut supply chain was broken, but potato flakes are also in short supply, not because of supply chain disruptions, but because of the 2019 potato crop was so much smaller than usual. And in fact, we were even reading that the early freezes ruined lots of the seed potatoes, so that the potato crop will be bad this year as well. As cascading series of failures. Here's a message I received from a buyer that works from an undisclosed Whole Foods location. When she went to work yesterday, she found that they were no longer open to buy, that there were now restrictions. I was limited to only buying 800 pieces. They were allowing me only to order about 40% of what I need to adequately stock my shelves. It is a supply chain breakdown, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just the demand shock of the idiots buying toilet paper. I can make this no more clear. Most departments, dry goods, dairy, frozen, the body products, are limited by how much they can order. Interesting, it's not just food. Remember the empty ports, the footage of the empty ports we saw, because shipments are coming in from China. Yeah, these are the shelves where those products are supposed to go, and they're not there anymore. In all my years, I have only seen limits placed on ordering when businesses are going bankrupt. It's not the case. The problem, as I've repeatedly warned, is the supply chain. Distributors do not have the product to meet demand. Hi, Christian. I work at Tractor Supply, and when I returned from work today, I learned that Tractor Supply Corporate had sent each store an email stating that we need to be prepared for shortages on corn and on corn products. It's the worst season on record. And we said, watch around March. We'll start to see this really show up in the shelves, and absolutely with animal feed shortages will really start to materialize around March. Here we are now. No one's talking about that because we got the virus distracting us. But here it is showing up at Tractor Supply. I wanted you to know that these 2019 crop losses are beginning to hit the livestock.
And those of you who've been watching over the years, watching these things, which I have, I have certain sources that told me about these things. You know that this is true. The bad weather and all these different things have been messing up the crops. Yeah, but they never really talk about it. But eventually shit was gonna come home to roost, right? You know, you keep having you keep having bad season after bad season, eventually you're going to end up with short
feed market now. This is going to affect the availability and the price of meat products. It's also going to affect dairy and eggs to consumers. It's going to hit in the next 3 months. Prepare for this. So in other words, these effects were already baked in. And this distraction with the virus and the people being made to panic and being made then in turn to go rush to the shelves and make them empty. Now we have this pretense, this excuse for why we have to institute food rationing. I mean, there are many agendas served by this virus, but this, folks, is the one that forced their hand. This is the timeline that had to be respected because there was no more food and the shell game was over. You can print money, you can't print food. It's not just Tractor Supply. I mean, we saw the empty shelves at Kroger. These losses were becoming more and more visible. This was during last summer. We saw that when the sugar crop was killed off by the September blizzards, early blizzards in the Grand Solar Minimum, that processors were forced to declare force majeure. There are now restrictions on how much sugar you can buy. Oh, that's because it's of the virus. It's because Costco can't let people buy too much. But also there are shortages of feed as a result of the fact that there is no sugar beet pulp, which apparently gets ground up and served to livestock as part of their feed. Mark down another blow towards protein markets. And folks, what was just words a year ago when we started seeing it in the media of global protein shortage is now all too real after we've seen so many pigs, a third of the world's pigs slaughtered in the last year to African swine fever.
Like I said, all kinds of diseases and these things have been mashing up the farms, mashing up the animals, man. Bird flus and swine flus, and before this COVID-19 thing, man, a lot's been happening. You know, it's just that it's just not been on the mainstream media, but there's a lot of crises, a lot of judgment that the Lord's been bringing about, and it's all part of the Heavenly Father's algorithm, right? The Lord has an algorithm in place that's going to bring it to war and famine, man.
And now because of the quarantine lockdowns and animal feed shortages in China and the United States, it's just getting out of control. Global protein shortage is arrived. Meat packers, more on that. Meat packers in Brazil.
Why they've been more and more pushing all this vegan crap. Yeah, didn't you know it's like last year this vegan shit just went nuclear because really they don't really want people to be eating meat anyway. They want people to they already acclimatized a whole bunch of people to get used to eating fake foods, because all that vegan shit is just, it's not even like, it's literally fake foods, like foods that like, it's a fake burger, you know, it's like meat, but it's not meat. It's made of some next shit that you don't even know what the hell that shit is. It's like, you know, the laboratory food, man, this fakeness that they were pushing behind this vegan what's it called, fad, because that's what it was, a fad. All right, because they know they were getting the people primed and ready like that. You know, you just don't have that soylent green, man, that soylent yellow, that soylent green, that soylent red.
Brazil, the largest meat packers in the world, are shutting down due to the virus, concerns around the virus. We already mentioned this. The U.S. limiting our guest workers, as Shay so well put it, means there's no food. If we don't have harvests, we don't have food. And Whole Foods was already in a situation where one of their suppliers had failed, unable to procure products, and that led to Whole Foods looking like a ghost town with empty shelves. But not only aren't there canned foods to get, but there are factories of tin. This was one of the tin producers that shut down a factory because no one was buying there because there was no food to can. So we've already seen this ripple throughout the supply chain over the course.
And so that proves it. If the company that's, because canned food don't last forever, it constantly has to be made. So if the company that's making the tins to make canned food are not getting any orders, that means that nobody's tinning the food. That means there has to be the supply chain problem. And this is going back to August 2021, 2019. So this thing has been brewing for a while, man. And it's all going to come to a head. Trust me, it's all going to come to a head. There's going to be massive famine on the earth. Massive famine, man. The Lord ain't playing.
The last 12 to 18 months following the amazing crop losses. And like I said, it was just a matter of time. We were facing a day of reckoning anyway. And now we see the form that it has taken, the mechanism by which they take total control over the supply chain and excuse these losses is the virus. So it's, farmers are warning, like Shay, ranchers is warning as well. The pork producers were saying without labor, it takes hundreds of people to run these operations, to feed the animals on a daily basis. And without those people, if they're quarantined and sheltering in place, then the animals don't get fed and our nation's protein dies off and meat will go the way of yesterday. And you'll be forced to be eating your Impossible burgers or growing your own food. That's where we are now. In the UK as well, similarly, they're closing down the borders. That means that 70,000 seasonal workers who are usually required annually on British farms from coming from overseas aren't going to be able to get there. And so the UK is actually saying it's an urgent appeal. Please, guys, come out and work on our farms. You don't see any of this happening in the United States. You just see shit.
To work on a blood clot farm. The people don't want to work on no farm, man. How many people want to go work, broke their back working on a farm? I know I don't. I'm not going on no fucking farm. Like, it ain't gonna happen, man. These crackers would rather be on job support than work on no farm, man. That's a job these immigrants do. These crackers ain't going on no damn farm, man. Dude just lost his job in Barclays. Ain't going to work on no fucking farm, man. Like, so they're through.
Putting up a message, please call your congressman. But I don't believe there are political solutions for the problems we're talking about in this video. We need to be forming alliances, long-term personal relationships with people who are using good regenerative practices local to you. Find those ranchers, find those farmers, and reach out to them.
Another thing that they're doing is they're banning all the farmers markets. And that's a way that a lot of these farmers were making enough money to stay afloat. A lot of these farmers are going to go bankrupt right now because they banned the farmers markets. Like, so all these little farmers are going to go out of business, man. There's a lot of wickedness that Esau's doing right now.
And tell them you're willing to help. Every however many days a month you can give them. So it was not completely successful, that their plantings were dismal this year. This is a global phenomenon, this catastrophic demise of the very life.
Another thing, a lot of the fertilizer comes from China. And right now, China ain't shipping nothing out. So there's a lot of things, man, the Most High set up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Man, come on. Maybe I'm in the wrong position in this room. Let me see if I can get my internet. Throw something around. Wrong stuff. Ross, Cleve. 100 more deaths. Yeah, let me switch my Wi-Fi, man. This is fucked up, man. So like y'all, I'm just switching my internet over just to see if I use a different Wi-Fi that if right. Salakia, hopefully that's a bit better. I apologize for these technical difficulties. Where we at? Where we at? Just a little bit more information I wanted to bring out from this video. Like I said,
Ladies and gentlemen, in what may be the coup de grace for the struggling farmers and ranchers across our nation, the Trump administration today, in the craze around.
Yeah. Let me pull this back up. Salakia, I don't like when stuff goes like this, but this is real life, man. This is live and direct.
Agriculture. It's not just the labor. We've read that China creates 80% of the world's fertilizers. And so as shipping has been shut down and as borders are being closed, we're hearing, this is from Canada, that we're really concerned about restrictive measures that are going to.
Boy, this is getting peak. Yeah, brother's gonna have to go check this YouTube thing out himself. I don't know how the stream is running. Can you brothers hear me clearly on the stream? I don't know. Is the sound coming out good? I don't know if it's just breaking up or whatever the case may be. You know, there's a lot of people at home right now mashing up the buy trade. Okay, brothers can hear me. All right, let me just bring the precepts out. Like I said, the guy's channel is called Ice Age Farmer, and he brings out a lot of information, man. All right, he brings out a lot of information, a lot of good information, and like you can go back and he's been following this whole food situation for a while, you know. So if you're interested in that kind of information, it's there. Like I said, he's not a prophet, he's not a man of the Lord, but in regards to the food supply, he be going in. All right. I'll be subscribed to the Ice Age Farmer. All right. I endorse the Ice Age Farmer when it comes to food supply information. All right. This is Ezekiel 5:16 says, when I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction, and which I will send to destroy you, and will increase the famine upon you, and break your staff of bread. So will I send upon you famine and evil beasts, and they shall bereave thee, and pestilence, COVID, and blood shall pass through thee, and I will bring the sword upon thee. I, the Lord, have spoken it, and the sword is coming. You see, right now, man, people think this COVID thing is the lick. That's this is the. You ain't seen nothing yet, man. The Lord's got a whole bag of things ready, man. Listen, like I said, tick all the boxes, man. Anything you think of, the Lord's gonna pop it off, man. Volcano, everything. Everything's gonna pop off, man. It's gonna get to a point where people are gonna look back and wish it was just a COVID-19 situation. It's gonna get a lot worse than this, and like I said, it's gonna get to a point where food is really gonna be an issue. Like I said, most people that's on quarantine right now, they're eating good, man. Hell, I just ate good, man. I just had myself a couple burgers. I got some meatballs down there last night. I had some nice ass lamb chops, man. I used that lemon chili powder. I cooked them bad boys, them lamb chops. I baked them up with that lemon chili powder, Then after I flipping brush them suckers down with some jerk sauce. Oh man, them suckers was sweet. I ain't gonna lie to you. So we eating good. I ain't the only one, man. All these people are eating good right now in the midst of this quarantine. But I'm telling you this. I'm telling you this, man. Give it a couple months, maybe at the end of the year, man, might be a whole heap and whole different kettle of fish. You get me? A whole heap of things might not be the way they are now. It could be a million times worse, real fast, just like that. Okay, there's a lot of things going on. Right, Sirach 39. Let's get straight to the point. Sirach 39. Hey, you brothers know what I'm talking. I know you brothers be cooking up, be out in your backyards with your barbecues out, man, during this lockdown, man. Like a lot of people are eating it up, man. You know, there's been a little bit of panic buying. The little things are short, but for the most part, if you want to get food, you can go and find somewhere where to go. Like here in the UK, like, you know, the supermarkets, they got their little rationing going on and so forth. But you can go to them little Turkish, little Elamite spots, and they got plenty of rice and everything that you need. So, yo, I'm on a flying half mast. So it is what it is, man. But gonna come a time when you ain't gonna find food nowhere, man. It's gonna be scarce out here. It's gonna be a dearth for real. Right, all these okay, verse 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which with their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Fire and hail and famine, right? Famine and dirt and death, all these were created for vengeance. You see it there. Right, so there's an article here from the New York Times. World food security. Right, world food security at risk as exporters curb sales, importers buy more. You see it there. Global food security concerns are mounting, with around a fifth of the world's population already under lockdown to fight the widening COVID-19 pandemic that has infected over 470,000 people across 200 countries, killing 21,000. Panic buying of household staples like toilet paper and cleaning products have occurred in nearly every country hit by the virus, and empty shelves in supermarkets have been common, compounding the anxiety stemming from erratic consumer buying. Has been concerns that some governments may move to restrict the flow of food staples to ensure their own populations have enough while supply chains get disrupted by the pandemic. So basically, as the supply chains get disrupted, it becomes like a compounding effect, because a country like India, if they feel like they're not going to be able to import the food they need, then certain food products that they export, they're going to say, well, we're not going to export that. So that has a knock-on effect. So what happens is basically every country starts cutting their exports and trying to import. Yeah, so someone's going to get left holding the bag. Now, like Britain, they only make 40%, they only can supply 40% of their food needs. So if all these different nations stop exporting, all right, and these people have to rely on the own food they make, and the food they're making is being messed up by climate and labor problems and all that. That's a recipe for famine right there. All right, a lot of countries are major importers of food. So you know, it's not just that. Like medical supplies, like India just said they're not exporting none of their medical supplies. China could do the same thing. So what's going to happen is other countries that rely on those medical supplies ain't going to get them. That's called scarcity. That's called dearth. That's called perplexity. right? Compounding the anxiety stemming from erratic consumer buying has been concerned that some governments may move to restrict the flow of food staples to ensure their own populations have enough while supply chains get disrupted by the pandemic. So someone like Spain, who's a major exporter of food in Europe, if someone like Spain said they're not going to export no food, then all the countries that relied on Spanish produce are going to be having problems. All right, people are starting to get worried, and Finn Zabel, agribusiness economist at National Australia Bank, if major exporters start keeping grains at home, it will have the buyers really worried. It is panicking and not rational, as fundamentally the world is well supplied with food. That's a lie. We've already seen that the world is really not well supplied with food. There's enough food, but it's not well supplied. The food stores have been dwindling anyway. Now, is there enough food? Yeah, there is, if the food can get to everywhere it needs to get to. And that's going to be the major issue, especially when we get to war. Once the war starts, yeah, everything get locked down for real. Vietnam, the third largest rice exporter, and Kazakhstan, the number 9 wheat exporter, have already made moves to restrict sales of those staples and amid concerns over domestic availability. You see there. India, the top global rice exporter, has just entered a 3-week lockdown that has brought several logistic channels to a halt. Elsewhere, Russia's vegetable oil union has called for a restriction in sunflower seed exports, and palm oil output has slowed in a number of to produce in Malaysia. On the importer side, Iraq announced it needs 1 million tons of wheat and two. So as these countries start, their crops are getting mashed up. They got labor problems, and they're trying to hold on to food. They're also looking to buy more food. You understand? It's gonna get crazy out there. All right. Together these moves have raised concerns among agriculturists about unnecessary food supply distortions. So there's all kind of reasons why this famine is gonna be coming, man. Right? All kinds of reasons why this famine is gonna come down, man. And not just to do with food, medical supplies as well, a lot of different things. Countries are starting to hoard food, threatening global trade. It's not just grocery shoppers who are hoarding pantry staples. Some governments are moving to secure domestic food supplies during the coronavirus pandemic. All right. So we already read about that. That's another article on MSN.com confirming that. And then add to that the fact the farms aren't getting, look, countries starting to hoard food, threatening global trade. That's Bloomberg right there. And then so check this bad boy out right here. This is from the UK. Sheila Fogarty. She alright.
Thank you very much for curing my stammer. Thank you very much for treating my dear ma.
Thank you very much for treating.
Oh, this stupid. Thank you very much, NHS. Bullshit, man. Goodness gracious. Now they want to say thank you. I tell you how they could say thank you. They could have been paying all these nurses and that more money from the very beginning. Right? The nurses and the doctors should have been getting paid more. They should have been getting all the money that they needed to have all the resources they needed for the health service. But they're too busy swindling the money and doing their own thing, man. Now they want to talk about thank you, man. I mean, that's how this kingdom is just full of shit, man. All right, that's why it's got to come to an end. All right. People that's actually doing real things hardly ever get paid, man. Like nurses work hard, man. Nurses should be getting paid more than footballers and all these fucking entertainers are getting paid. They're actually doing shit that people need, and they could arrange it so that they could get the money, but they don't want to do that. That's why enough of these nurses are hurt. What's going on, man?
My asthma.
Thank you very much for beating my cancer.
Tell me which aspect of food production, that food production chain, you are particularly focused on.
Well, I mean, the whole thing, but I think the one of the areas we wanted to flag as a particular issue that we think is already starting to impact and will impact this year is the seasonal labour force. You know, we have, for example, 60,000 seasonal workers come to the UK from abroad. And you know, they're needed. If you think of what's on your shelf, your vegetables, your fruit, there's a huge amount of it is involved in both the sowing and then the harvesting of crops that are done by seasonal workers. And you know, we're concerned, given the travel restrictions, as well as obviously the illness for people living in this country, of what that's going to mean for the for farmers being able to harvest crops and therefore feed people.
So is it your sense that those people who lose jobs, maybe not all of them, but those people who lose jobs could still do this work under, obviously, like the rest of us, under conditions that are very different or a bit different to what we used to do, and keeping distance and cleanliness and all the rest of it? Do you think there could be a kind of serendipity here that those who are without for a few months could actually gain from that?
I think in theory, yes, very much so. I mean, if we think about, you know, in years gone by, that's what people did in the summer. They went out of London, or students went and picked fruit or veg, and you know, that's what these farming operations are going to need. You know, if a big chunk of the migrant labour physically can't get here, even if they wanted to, there's going to be a big shortage. And clearly, there's going to be a supply of labour because, for all the reasons you all have been talking about, of people being temporarily laid off or made redundant.
People ain't gonna go working on no farms, man. But you see that the situation is gonna get real. There's gonna be a situation now of this year's crops being planted to be reaped in the autumn. So it is what it is for a whole bunch of different reasons. Great famine is coming, man, and it's biblical. It's in the scriptures. Let's get 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter and the 22nd verse. It says, "For many of them that dwell upon the earth, many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine." And on the earth, so it ain't just gonna be in America. On the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy, because World War III is still on the cards. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. So, you know, I just wanted to bring out this information. Lord will, brothers, are edified. You already know what the scripture says concerning the elect, that his servants is going to eat. But these are the things that's going to come upon the face of the earth, man, and it's going to be as a punishment for the wicked. All right. So with that, I'm going to say shalom.